Welcome back to Retro Rebound. Today, I walk back on my word. I have been a long slanderer of Sonic games because I've played a lot of the modern ones, pretty much Unleashed and onwards. I've played every single one of them. And outside of Sonic Generations, there really hasn't been a Sonic game I truly liked. Now, I have a very close friend whose favorite game of all time is Sonic Adventure 1. And he insisted, alongside my girlfriend, who is also a huge Sonic Adventure fan, give it a second chance. So I've played it for the first time this year. I tried it once for a couple of hours on PC with the director's cut version. It was not very good. This time they insisted, mod it up, try it out. So I did just that. What you're seeing is pretty much a Sonic Adventure remaster in a lot of ways. Using the original Dreamcast models, it's in 1440p. And it was absolutely beautiful. It ran better. It controlled better. There was so much about this that immediately felt better upon modding this. So it made it actually playable where I could get through each of the stories in this game, plus the Supersonic story at the end. And I'm excited today to tell you all, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Sonic Adventure 1. Now, I knew it took a little bit of work on the modding end to make that happen, but the mod I installed was super easy. So I want to talk about each of the individual stories that you see throughout Sonic Adventure and then collect my thoughts here at the end. Of course, the first one you play and the longest one is Sonic himself. He's got 10 stages, and some of these I could see are classics. I loved Windy Valley. I know a lot of people don't like Egg Carrier. I, in particular, did. And I think the reason I liked some of these stages even more was because of the music. Like Red Mountain had great music as well. And I felt that elevated a little bit of the stages and their presentation and their vibe. Because while Sonic Adventure 2, I do know, uses a lot of vocals, this one just had great instrumentals. And it kind of gave the game a vibe I never really expected. But when I was playing through Sonic's story, I was like, okay, this is fun. It's a lot more controlled. It's not as what I've seen with more of the modern Sonic games, which is you go straight in a direction, you just zoom, 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 and that can get really boring, and you can autopilot those games. This game actually demanded my attention as I did some platforming sections, as I zipped across a bunch of enemies, as combat felt a little bit more thoughtful. Was it perfect? No. Did it show its age? Absolutely. Sometimes the camera angles were atrocious, but that was really the only time I felt like I was fighting with the game. Otherwise, I felt Sonic controlled really well. And if they could go back to this style of Sonic game, I think they'd have a lot more fans like me. Because a lot of people like me don't like Sonic for its modern games. But with Adventure, it felt so much better because it wasn't all of that speed. You were still going fast, but it was a controlled speed where you could see there were little shortcuts throughout levels, little secrets that you could find. But also for newer players, it felt like a 3D platformer at a faster pace. So I actually enjoyed Sonic's campaign, and once I finished it up, my friend was telling me each story kind of has a theme. And I was thinking to myself, okay, look, I'm enjoying it, but we're talking Sonic here. Themes? Come on. Again, I actually must concede here. Is it the deepest story? No, but there are some surprisingly dark moments. There are some more moments of endearment, and that's where I want to lead things into Tails' story. So Tails, I think, is eternally annoying. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't like Tails at all. I still don't like Tails. But this game put into perspective what Sonic means to Tails. So even during Tails' most trying moments, he was thinking of Sonic and how much he leans on him, how thankful he is for Sonic. And while his levels were a breeze to get through because you could effectively speedrun all of them since he could fly anywhere, I thought it was cool that there was a level of freedom. One thing I liked about Sonic Adventure is for a game in '98, it definitely had a little bit of that you could actually do this thing over here type of feeling that you get in a Breath of the Wild, that you get in, I would say, most definitive games for their time period. And I know for a fact Sonic Adventure was one of them, but I was surprised at some of the level of freedom where I would go through that same type of stage that I just played with Sonic as Tails, but there was a new way to explore it. That was really cool to see that the design had accounted for both playstyles, so I saw a level of flexibility. But as you wrap up Tails' story, you learn that he's got to be independent. He's got to fight for himself for once. And again, even though he's leaned on Sonic, him taking that step forward was nice. Now, this also brings into account some of the ship stages that we saw in both Sonic's campaign and Tails' campaign, these are moments where the game does show its age because you see like this JPEG background that's all pixelated. Meanwhile, the ship model, Sonic, Tails, they're all up-res. They look absolutely wonderful. And these are the times you think to yourself, they should really remake this game because cutscenes can be very awkward. And for some, that presents a little bit of charm in Sonic Adventure. For me, there are moments I'll talk about later on where I felt like they failed to get the point across to me on what exactly the goal of the story moment was. But what was impressive about it for its time is it was doing it all in engine. So all you were seeing were gameplay animations to try to translate some type of feeling that one of the characters was having. And so there were awkward facial animations. But again, for its time, this was insane. And that's why you have story modes like Big the Cat, where pretty much Sega was just flexing, going, look, you can do this, this, and you can fish now in Sonic Adventure. We'll get to Big the Cat in a little bit, but that's kind of the idea behind this game. So I thought Tails' story was where you started to see some of the endearment pop up in Sonic Adventure, and I got a little taste of, okay, there's more than what meets the eye here. And I think at the real heart of this story is Knuckles. He's an echidna, and he's the last one of his kind. And Knuckles, his story has this somber feeling around it because he's sort of discovering the past of his people and how his people tie into this main story with the 7 Chaos Emeralds that you must acquire. Unfortunately, Eggman gets them, which brings back chaos and in turn, eventually, perfect chaos. And when you learn that Tikal and Knuckles' people, so to say, are part of why chaos was even around and how greed drove chaos to become this actual thing, again, it was that thematic depth I wasn't expecting. And when Knuckles achieves his mission at the end of his campaign, even though it was just a couple of missions, I sat there feeling kind of sorry for him because once the emeralds were collected, he was sitting there back on duty by himself on Angel Island. And he'll happily do that, but I kind of felt bad for the guy at the end of the day. And I think it's because it's short and sweet that they're able to get these points across. If they stretched them out, they made them too long, I almost feel like that wouldn't accomplish as much as what we see here in the current Sonic Adventure, where Tails' story was like 5 stages, Knuckles was about 3 or 4, not many at all. So they keep them short and tight because they know Sonic's the star, but the supporting cast actually plays an important factor here, where I feel like in modern Sonic games, they're sort of the sidekicks. And I guess they kind of are in Adventure, but I feel like they actually got love and respect that you don't see in modern Sonic games. So shout out to Sega back then for getting that one right, because I actually felt very bad for Knuckles. Again, you're starting to see some of the emotion creep in. Then it comes to a screeching halt, okay? You got Amy who steps in after this. Now, Amy apparently, amongst the Sonic community, is very divisive when it comes to her adventure-style gameplay, because you've got Knuckles, who's more of a brawler, you've got Tails, who's very floaty, Sonic, who's a mixture of speed and platforming, and that can be very fun. And then Amy is kind of encapsulated in this 3D platformer, but also Mr. X type of gameplay. And I like that because every character almost has their own flavor. Now, Amy's story, much like all of these, can be completed very quickly. So Amy is running away her whole entire story. And again, it's that shocking thematic depth. The whole game, you're running away, there's 3D platforming, and I really liked it. I thought it was a good change of pace. I was tired of going fast. I wanted to slow down, and the game gave me that option. Is Amy an annoying character? Yes. But then she stops running away at the end of her story, and she fights back for the first time. Again, it was one of those moments I went, okay, is it the most flawless execution of this theme I've seen? No, but I actually like that. And on a gameplay front, I thought it was refreshing. I get why Sonic speedrunners and whatnot are probably losing their mind over that. I don't care. As a first-timer going into this, playing it through, I thought Amy was really enjoyable, actually. I really liked the vibe of her story. I loved her music. It was very Persona 5, if you could make a modern comparison, and I'm a huge Persona fan. So for me, that clicked really well, and I enjoyed running through Amy's entire character episode. All right, now we got to talk about Big the Cat. I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, do I even want to talk about Big the Cat? Yeah, we got to for doing diligence here, right? So Big the Cat, this guy sucks. Why is he in the game? Like I said, it's to have a little Sega flex going, look, you can also fish in this game, but you spend the whole game fishing. And then he's got the worst final boss. Now, all the bosses across Sonic Adventure, I'm going to be real, outside of one of them, I think really suck. I don't think any of them are good. They're all like 3 or 5 hit enemies with really easy patterns to dissect, attacks that you can avoid in a heartbeat. So I personally look at it and go, so now we got to fish here for 4 chapters. The fishing controls feel awful. The camera on the fishing rod is just not good. I get what Sega was going for back then. Certainly we see games nowadays try to do it all because it's a big flex. So I respect it, but in the terms of longevity, not the best call. Big the Cat can be forgotten about, but you want to play him because once you complete all 6 character stories, you do unlock Super Sonic. So I had the misfortune of going through all of that. It was not fun at all. Big's dumb. Whatever. We're moving on here. So the last one that I played was E102 Gamma. And this was my favorite. Absolutely my favorite. Gamma is such a cool character, and I never thought I'd say that about a Sonic character ever. I actually really, really like this character. I feel like this one had the most purpose. It had the most meaning behind its existence, and it actually drove home its narrative in such a strong way because I didn't expect it. So remember when I said earlier about how, hey, Sonic Adventure actually has some dark moments. And the reason they hit harder is because the game's so uplifting. It's always playing this cheery music, even when you're going through stages. Even at its most saddest with Knuckles, I feel like it was still a relatively uplifting tale. Where Gamma's is sad. So throughout the Genesis games, you see Dr. Eggman is apparently capturing these animals and he's putting them inside the E-Series, you find out here in Sonic Adventure. And Gamma ends up disobeying the orders of Dr. Robotnik after he finds out what happens to one of his E-Series friends. And he decides to go free them all by destroying them and letting the birds fly free. And I didn't really get what was happening until the very end. So I'm going through these stages. The stages are fun. Gamma's running around. You just shoot things. And it's a very great mixture of 3D platforming, speed, and action. In fact, I feel like this could have been a great template to build Shadow the Hedgehog off of. Because apparently the reason they put Gamma in the game was Sega was getting letters in the mail that they were being told, give Sonic a gun. Which I don't know what little kid wanted that. Or what even young adult wanted that. But to give Sonic a gun, so they said, let's make Gamma. And then I think eventually they were like, okay, let's make Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know about that, but I would imagine that's the likely sequence of events. But for a character that was shoehorned in because they needed a Sonic character with a gun, I thought they did an excellent job. So it's that great mixture of, like I said, speed, platforming, and little action gameplay. He's got an auto-targeting system, so it's very easy to just, take enemies out. It doesn't take much mechanical depth. Again, a reason why I think this game could be a good remaster candidate. But then you get to the final fight, and you're fighting E101 Mark II. And it's this boss fight that you see at the end of it all. Gamma effectively sacrifices himself to free the last E-Series bot and the animal within it. And then you see another bird fly from Gamma's body. And so Gamma dies. And when I saw that, I remember I was streaming it on Discord to a couple buddies and we all went, whoa, someone died in a Sonic game. And it was actually pretty heartfelt. The music that played alongside it, it felt purposeful. I felt a true impact with it. Is it something that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life? Probably not. But it really sat with me because it's such an uplifting game throughout the whole entire adventure. It's about a 10-hour game, at least in my experience as someone who's brand new. And you get to this final part here, and it's like, wow, that was kind of sad. So it ends on that strong note, and then there's, wait, one more. So you go to the adventure screen, and you see, hey, what's this question mark here? Supersonic? The game delivers a long series of cutscenes now, and you learn that Chaos is back. Chaos is back, and he's really, really negative. So Sonic and his friends show up to support him and effectively give him the emeralds to provide him with such a positive power that he can run right through Perfect Chaos and turn him into a good guy again, effectively. Is it a little forced? Yes. But it definitely is, I could see, especially at its time, iconic. There is a special magic there. And it makes me appreciate something like Sonic Unleashed a little bit more with the way it ends. I can see how people thought that was cool. Now, as someone who played Sonic Unleashed this year, minus without the FPS boost that came out recently for it, I thought that game really was not good at all, especially on the boost stages. I actually thought the Werehog stages weren't too bad. But I can see how that resonated with a lot of people because it calls back to what I think is this boss fight here, which is this really epic, fast-paced fight. Is it easy? Yes, but it feels different from all the others. And this is the one I liked because it actually had a new mechanic there where you're just zooming through the speed pads and you're going all the way up Perfect Chaos and bursting out his mouth. I thought it felt good, right? I don't know how else to define it other than it felt good. And it speaks back to what I was saying about base Sonic's gameplay, which was it was fast, but it was controllable. And what I never liked about Sonic is you were going so quick, but you could never see where you were going if it was 2D. And if it was 3D, it didn't matter because they put you on rails, so they would just take you around a bunch of nice sites, and you wouldn't care. At least I didn't. And you could find little shortcuts here and there, but it was just about chaining those little shortcuts together because, again, it was autopiloting you the whole way. So that controlled speed to me really worked with Sonic Adventure, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. There's trial modes, there's mission modes. I didn't mess with it that much beyond the adventure mode because for me, it was a major accomplishment that I finished that. Again, I played a ton of modern Sonic games. I like some of them. I will shout out once more Sonic Generations. I thought that one was quite good. But this was my first old Sonic game, and there's a lot I haven't played. I haven't played Adventure 2. I haven't played Sonic Heroes. So this might be the start of something. Because once I finished Adventure, I hated this game, and then I beat it and liked it a decent amount. Can I understand why it's someone's favorite of all time? To some extent, yes. I do think it's very old. It feels very old in a lot of ways, but you can't deny how revolutionary it was for its time with the Sega Dreamcast and everything. I just do recommend to those of you out there who are curious about the game and do want to play it based off what I've said about it maybe, and you've never played it before, just know that the best way to go about this game is, I think, on PC with these mods, which, look, I do have experience with modding through Fallout and Elder Scrolls, but know that this mod is the easiest install I've ever gone through. It's literally just clicking a couple buttons. It automatically does everything. There's a video online for it, really easy. I'll actually link it in the description down below so you can check it out for yourself. But it's really low effort and high payoff for this mod. It makes the game kind of pretty in a lot of ways. Now, there are hilarious moments with the graphical fidelity, if you will, of this game, where they would paste textures of the sky onto cars to create the idea of a reflection, but it was just car models that had the sky as part of them, and oh man, do they look horrible. But across the stages, the music, the gameplay, and some of its underlying themes, I liked Sonic Adventure 1. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And the way I was able to identify that is every time I sat down to play it, I was looking forward to playing it. It wasn't like a thing I was thinking about an absolute ton when I was away from it. But when I came down to it and I sat down at my computer, I was like, okay, time to play. There was no groaning, moaning, this is stupid. There were frustrating moments throughout, but I really did enjoy the game. Again, I did mention frustrating moments. I forgot to mention one with Knuckles is searching for the emeralds throughout levels. That RNG-based stuff is kind of annoying. I remember playing a little bit of Sonic Adventure 2 at my girlfriend's house, and the RNG is worse in that game, where this one I felt comparatively, I actually didn't mind it as much. I zoomed through some of Knuckles' levels. His campaign was way quicker than it probably should have been, but RNG just sucks in general. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, those are just my thoughts on Sonic Adventure 1 as a first-time player. I thought it was actually a pretty good time, and I could definitely see myself at some point playing Sonic Adventure 2 maybe, and making a video on it because low-key liked it. So, I concede Sonic Adventure, not too bad. Are you a Sonic fan out there? Have you ever played it before? Let a guy know in the comments down below. Certainly looking forward to seeing your thoughts. If you're new here, do consider subscribing to Retro Rebound as we continue to push the content we're doing here. Hope you all enjoyed. Peace out.